Welcome to World Talk Brief. It sounds like something straight out of a movie, right? You've got a former government minister on a train, making a run for the border, trying to flee the country, and he gets caught. But here's the thing. This is so much bigger than just one man's failed escape. It's like pulling a single thread that could unravel everything, Ukraine's war effort and even its dream of joining Europe.
So you have to ask, what was he running from? And what does his capture really mean for Ukraine's future? Well, this one arrest shines a massive spotlight on a corruption crisis that runs deep. So deep, in fact, that it could threaten the flow of Western aid. The very thing keeping the country going. It could weaken Ukraine from the inside out and, maybe worst of all, slam the door shut on its biggest ambition, joining the European Union.
Okay, so to really get a handle on just how big this crisis is, let's go back to that moment, that dramatic scene on the train, where this escape attempt was stopped dead in its tracks. All right, so who is this guy? The man at the center of it all is German Galushchenko. Now, he used to be Ukraine's energy minister, a really powerful job. But he was pushed out of that role last year because these huge corruption allegations started bubbling up. So his trying to skip the country? Yeah, that wasn't just a little suspicious. It looks like the act of someone who knew the walls were closing in. Big time.
And the people who caught him? That was NABU, which stands for the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine. You can pretty much think of them as the country's top corruption cops. They're an independent agency set up for one reason: to go after the powerful, connected people who used to be totally untouchable. So the fact that NABU was involved, that tells you right away this wasn't some minor issue. This was a direct strike at the heart of the old system. And here's the thing. His capture wasn't just some lucky break for the authorities. Not at all. It was actually the final, carefully planned move in a secret investigation that had been going on for more than a year.
Yeah, for a full 15 months, NABU and their partners, the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, they were quietly putting all the pieces together. They even gave the case a code name, Operation Midas. And it was this massive, painstaking effort to solve a puzzle of what they say was just pure greed and betrayal right at the very top of the government.
So what did they find after all that digging? Well, they uncovered a scheme on a scale that is just breathtaking. A scheme that was allegedly siphoning public money away from the one area Ukraine absolutely could not afford to have messed with, its energy sector.
Investigators are talking about $100 million. That's the estimated amount they say was embezzled. Just think about that. $100 million. And this was money that was allegedly being stolen piece by piece from the country's most critical infrastructure, all while Ukraine was literally fighting for its survival.
So how did this whole thing supposedly work? It was actually pretty straightforward, which is what's so shocking. The main target was Energoatom. That's the national nuclear operator. The allegation is that officials would just demand kickbacks from contractors, basically taking 10 to 15% right off the top of every single contract. That dirty money would then get laundered and shipped overseas. And here's the absolute kicker. Investigators say some of that money actually ended up in Russia, the very same country Ukraine is at war with. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
And of course, this wasn't a one-man show. The investigation's web spread far and wide, pulling in a whole network of really powerful people. For instance, President Zelensky's own chief of staff, Andriy Yermak, he resigned after his home was searched. Now, it's really important to be clear here. Neither Yermak nor the president have been accused of any wrongdoing. But still, it shows how close to the top this got. On top of that, a former deputy prime minister was arrested, and a well-known businessman who used to co-own Zelensky's TV studio, well, he reportedly left the country. Now, for his part, German Galushchenko has said he's innocent. When these allegations first came out, he flat out denied them and said he was going to fight the charges. But look, this scandal is about way more than just a pile of stolen cash. This strikes right at the very heart of Ukraine's identity, its ability to keep fighting, and honestly, its entire future on the world stage. And the timing of all this coming out, it just could not have been worse. I mean, think about it. While Russia was pounding Ukraine's power plants with missiles, leaving cities in the dark and freezing cold, the public finds out that officials were supposedly getting rich off that exact same energy sector. The outrage was immediate and completely understandable. The sense of betrayal was just huge. And this is where the whole thing blows up onto the global stage, because it puts Ukraine's #1 long-term goal in serious jeopardy. You've got two things in direct conflict here. On one side, there's Ukraine's dream of becoming a full member of the European Union. But on the other side, you have the EU's absolute non-negotiable condition: you have to crack down on systemic corruption. For real.
This case basically puts those two things on a collision course.
So it really boils down to this one massive question. Can a nation fight a war for its very survival against an enemy on the outside, while at the same time winning the war on the inside, the war against the corruption that's been a problem for decades? You better believe allies like the United States are watching this very, very closely. And the pressure on President Zelensky's government is just immense to prove that all this talk about reform is actually going to lead to real change. When you step back, that one arrest on that train, it's become a symbol for this much, much bigger struggle. How Operation Midas plays out is going to be seen as a huge test. It's really a verdict on whether Ukraine can finally, truly build a future based on the rule of law, or if it's just going to stay stuck in the shadows of its past. Subscribe to World Talk Brief for more clear, thoughtful explanations. World Talk Brief. News explained without the noise.